A terrifying roar echoes from a crashed ship on an alien jungle world. Inside, a wounded predator paces in pain claws like blades, eyes like fire, and strength that could tear steel. Everyone calls it a monster. But one human doctor sees something else: fear. What happens next will challenge everything we think we know about danger, trust, and the meaning of compassion. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel and show some love with a thumbs up by liking the video. Now, let's jump into the story. The warning came in the middle of a quiet afternoon on the orbital station Horizon Loop. Dr. Hallen Marrow had just finished a calming tea brewed from the soft leaf plant native to his ocean homeworld when the emergency beacon lit up on the central console. At first, he assumed it was a false alarm, a sensor glitch or minor hull leak. But then the audio came through, and all the color drained from his pale blue face. This is the exploration vessel, Long Step. We've crashed on Dalmos 3. There's a creature in our medbay. It's alive. It's injured. And it's extremely dangerous. We need immediate assistance. The message repeated, filled with static and panic. But what truly froze Dr. Marrow was the video feed that followed. The camera showed the medical bay of the Long Step sealed tight, the reinforced doors shaking under heavy blows. Behind the narrow observation window, something moved, something huge. Shadows of thick limbs, flashes of scaled skin, and glowing marks along its body flickered into view. One loud roar sent a deep vibration through the speakers. Someone screamed off camera. And then, silence. Hallen felt a cold wave of fear ripple through him. As a Calvania species that evolved in calm seas among peaceful creatures, he had never seen a predator in his life. On his world, danger came only from storms, not animals. Even their largest native life forms, the slow-moving reefback grazers, were gentle giants. The concept of a living being that attacked others, that hunted or lashed out in pain or fear, was deeply foreign to him, terrifying. He called for an emergency assembly in the station's main medical hall. His team, made up of fellow Calvani doctors and 2 Alari technicians, gathered around the holoscreen as the transmission replayed. No one spoke until it ended. Dr. Laiwan, one of the surgeons, trembled as he clutched his chest. That thing is going to break through. It'll kill the entire crew. We're not prepared for this. Not for a monster. Hallen swallowed hard. We have to help them. The creature is injured, and so is their crew. That's our duty. But it's dangerous, Dr. Laiwan snapped. Look at it. Look at the damage. It shredded the floor, with its claws like paper. And it's not just that, added Nurse Yana quietly. It's the way it moves, the way it stares at the camera. Like it knows what's watching. Panic was beginning to swell. Hallen knew they didn't have the experience or equipment to deal with something like this. Every member of the team specialized in peaceful biology, tissue regeneration, aquatic healing systems, photosynthetic therapy. None of them had ever treated a patient with fangs that dripped acid. His hands shook as he accessed the emergency interspecies communication network. He needed someone who understood predators, someone who wouldn't see the creature as only a threat, but also as a life worth saving. His message was short and desperate. Alien predator loose in medbay, injured and unstable. Request urgent. Aid from Earth-based field veterinary specialists. We are unequipped. Please respond immediately. He waited. It felt like forever, but it was only 2 hours before a reply blinked onto the screen. A short video message played, showing a human woman in a practical green uniform standing in a sterile shuttle bay. Her hair was tied back, her face calm. I'm Dr. Naomi Ellers. My assistant Theo Brink and I will take the case. We've handled hostile wildlife in worse conditions. Keep the area secure. We'll arrive within 2 planetary rotations. That was all. No fear. No hesitation. Just calm confidence. Dr. Marrow played the message again. Then again, he watched her eyes. There was no panic there, just focus. Was she underestimating the risk? Or did humans simply not fear predators the way the Kolvani did? His team didn't believe she would come. They'll back out when they see the full data, someone muttered. Hallen sent the full scans anyway, the acid levels in the creature's blood. The broken door reinforced with space-grade alloy. The sonar mapping of the creature's size. Over 3 meters tall, 6 limbs, bioluminescent stress markers. Bone density high enough to crush a vehicle. When Dr. Ehlers replied, she didn't decline. In fact, she seemed intrigued. Fascinating. Physiology. Apex class by the scans. Likely adolescent based on skeletal development. We look forward to meeting it. Please have a trauma suite ready. The days that followed were filled with tension. The crew of the Long Step stayed quarantined in the rear half of their ship, too terrified to go near the medbay. They reported that the creature's roars were becoming more frequent and louder. The walls were buckling. The sedatives in the air vents had stopped working. One crew member even claimed the creature was watching the cameras, learning where they were. On Horizon Loop, Dr. Marrow paced the halls, his thoughts restless. He couldn't sleep, couldn't focus. The idea that something existed out there that could tear through steel, that lived with teeth and claws as tools of survival, unsettled everything he believed about life. But still, the humans were coming. And they weren't afraid. For the first time in his life, Hallen wondered, was fear the problem? Or just his people's understanding of what fear truly meant? He would find out soon. Asterisk, the transport ship Mercy Warden, arrived right on time, sliding into docking position with quiet precision. Dr. Howling Marrow waited at the airlock with a tight stomach and twitching fingers. His thoughts were spinning. He had imagined someone tall, maybe armored or carrying weapons, some hardened soldier in disguise as a medic. But when the doors hissed open and the 2 humans stepped out, he froze in disbelief. Dr. Naomi Ehlers was small and thin, with streaks of gray in her black hair and a calm, motherly face. She wore a simple green jumpsuit with a name tag and no visible protection beyond a padded vest. Her companion, Theo Brink, was taller, cheerful-looking, and young, barely out of human adolescence by Kolvani standards. He gave Hallen a friendly wave and a big smile. "You're the medical director?" Ehlers asked. Her voice was warm but professional. "Yes," Hallen replied, blinking in confusion. You don't have any weapons?" "We don't treat patients by shooting them," she said, not unkindly. "Where's our creature?" Theo opened a small case and began checking equipment. Heart monitor, tranquilizer backups, protein scanner. "Okay, I'm good." "Dr. Marrow, do we know what species it is?" "No," Hallen said. "We've never seen anything like it before. We believe it came from the deep forest on Dalmos 3. The Long Step crashed during a storm and may have injured the animal by accident. It wandered into their open bay and collapsed there." Ehlers tilted her head. "And then?" "It attacked everything," Hallen said nervously. "Destroyed 2 medbots. The crew evacuated. It's been trapped in the medbay ever since. We've been trying to keep it sedated, but nothing works for long." "Or maybe," Theo said gently, "it's not attacking. Maybe it's defending itself." They took a shuttle down to the Long Step, which still sat leaning against a hillside on Dalmos 3's surface. The damage from the crash was visible: broken branches, scorched hull, crushed foliage, but the ship was still intact. Inside, the crew looked exhausted. Their captain, a weary man named Callan Rice, met them near the central corridor. "Thank the stars you're here," he said. "It's getting worse. The thing's smashing walls. One more day, and the medbay door is toast." "Has anyone tried communicating with it?" Ellers asked. Callan stared. "What? No. It doesn't talk. It snarls. It growls. It roars. It's a monster." Ellers didn't argue. She just said, "Show us." They approached the sealed medbay slowly. The closer they got, the more intense the noise became. Low rumbles, sharp claws on metal, the occasional thunderous bang that made the walls shiver. But there was something else, too. As they stood just a few meters from the door, Ellers raised a hand. "Quiet," she said. "Listen carefully." The group fell silent. Through the door came not just roars, but other sounds, high-pitched whines, broken breaths, a low moaning hum that repeated like a chant. It was eerie, sad, and strangely familiar to anyone who'd heard an animal cry in pain. "It's not just angry," Theo whispered. "It's scared." "That's impossible," Helen said. "It's huge. It's violent. It's clearly dangerous." Ellers turned to him. "Have you ever worked with predators before, Dr. Merrow?" He hesitated. "My people don't. We never evolved with them. We were a prey species. Our biggest creature is the gentle reefback. We don't even have sharp teeth." "That explains a lot," she said gently. "Fear of predators is written into your instincts, but not into ours. Humans evolved beside dangerous animals. We learned how to read their signals, when to run, when to fight, and when to help." She walked up to the medbay door and peered through the observation window. Inside, the creature paced. It was enormous, dark-scaled, with 6 legs and pulsing. Light patches along its sides. It moved with power, but also with pain. One leg barely touched the floor. Its eyes darted everywhere, wild and glowing. Ellers didn't flinch. "Open the door," she said. Helen gasped. "You can't go in there." Theo stepped forward. "We'll both go, but slowly, and only one at a time if needed. Just keep the sedatives on standby." Captain Rice hesitated, then nodded toward the controls. The door hissed open. A heavy silence fell over the corridor. The creature immediately spun toward the entrance and let out a roar that shook the floor. Everyone else backed up, but Ellers didn't. She stepped forward, then sat down cross-legged just inside the door. Slowly, she placed a container of water on the floor beside her and opened her medkit. "Hello there," she said softly. "I know you're scared. You've been hurt. You're in a strange place, but I'm here to help you. I won't hurt you." The creature growled, but it didn't lunge. Its glowing patches flickered faster, then slower. It stayed in place, watching. "You see that?" Theo whispered to Helen. "It's not attacking. It's trying to understand what she's doing." "She's going to die," Helen said. But even he wasn't sure anymore. Inside the medbay, Ellers kept speaking in the same calm, steady voice. "You're in pain, aren't you? That leg's not right. And your head, it must hurt after the crash. I can help with that. You just have to let me." The creature took a slow step forward, then another. It stopped just short of the water and sniffed. Then carefully, it lowered its massive head and drank. Ellers smiled. "Good. That's good. You're not a monster. You're just hurt." And for the first time since the emergency began, Dr. Helen Merrow wasn't sure what he feared more, that the creature might attack, or that everything he believed about predators was wrong. The next few hours were some of the most tense moments Dr. Helen Merrow had ever experienced. From the observation deck above the medbay, he and the crew of the Long Step watched as Dr. Naomi Ellers sat just meters from the injured creature. She didn't move quickly. Every action was slow, careful, and steady. The massive predator still, Unnamed had finished drinking the water she brought, and now lay on the floor, breathing heavily. One of its 6 legs was clearly broken, bent at a painful angle. Deep gashes ran along its rib cage, and its sides flashed rapid patterns of blue and red light. To the Kalvani, it looked terrifying. To Ellers, it looked scared. She opened her medical kit, letting the creature see everything she had. Then she slowly lifted a scanner, showing it to the animal before turning it on. A soft hum filled the air as the device passed over its body. The creature flinched but didn't strike. It watched her with all 6 eyes, its head tilted slightly. In that moment, something shifted. Dr. Hallen couldn't explain it, but the creature didn't look as wild anymore. It looked like it was trying to understand her. Theo Brink worked at the monitor station nearby, checking vital signs and movement readings. "Naomi, cortisol levels are still high," he said through the com. "But dropping." "Good," Ellers replied calmly. "It's still in pain. I'm going to try an injection." Hallen gripped the railing tightly. "Is that safe?" he asked. "No," Theo answered. "But trust is rarely built from safety." On the screen, they saw Ellers take a small syringe filled with pain reliever. She kept her body low to the ground, her posture relaxed, and inched forward just half a meter. The creature growled a low, rattling sound. Its eyes narrowed. She stopped immediately. "Okay," she said softly. "Not ready." "That's fine. We have time." Hallen stared in disbelief. She backed off. "Just because it growled?" "That's how you survive," Theo said, adjusting another reading. "You listen. You respect boundaries. And if you're lucky, you get permission." Minutes passed. Ellers continued to speak in a low voice. She talked about the breeze outside the ship, about stars, about what it felt like to fly in low gravity. Her voice was soft, steady, a constant rhythm in the chaos. The creature didn't respond in words, of course, but its breathing slowed. Its body stopped shaking. Eventually, it made a sound, a strange musical series of chirps and clicks. The room went silent. "What was that?" Captain Rice asked. Theo leaned forward. "Communication," he said. "It's trying to respond." Ellers smiled at the creature. "Was that for me?" "You have a beautiful voice." The creature let out a soft rumble, then shifted on the floor. It moved its injured leg slightly forward, exposing the wound more clearly. Ellers sat up straighter, blinking in surprise. "Naomi," Theo said, his voice suddenly tight. Did it offer its leg to you?" "Looks like it," she said, reaching for the syringe again. "Let's not waste the moment. This time." She moved forward more confidently. The creature didn't growl. It watched as she pressed the injector gently against its thick skin and delivered the pain medication. For a moment, it tensed, then relaxed. Its glowing scales dimmed, shifting into soft greens and purples. "I can't believe it," Hallen whispered. "It let her help." Theo smiled. "It's the trust test. Every predator has one. Once they believe you're not a threat, everything changes." Ellers began cleaning the wounds next. She sprayed antiseptic over the gashes, wiped away, dried fluids, and checked for broken ribs. When she got too close to a sensitive area, the creature rumbled again, not a warning, but a signal. She stopped and waited for the sounds to change before continuing. "I think it's a juvenile," she said over the comm. "Based on bone size and emotional response. That roar earlier? It wasn't just aggression. It was fear." Captain Rice leaned against the wall, staring at the screen. "You're saying this thing is a kid?" "That's my guess," Theo said. A scared, injured adolescent separated from its family. Then the creature did something no one expected. As Ellers finished bandaging the last wound, it lowered its massive head and gently pressed it against her shoulder. Everyone watching froze. From their view, it looked like it was about to bite her. Hallen covered his eyes, but Ellers didn't move. She just rested her hand on the creature's snout and spoke softly. "You're doing so well. You're very brave." The creature let out a soft hum. A few seconds later, it curled slightly, bringing its legs closer to its body, like a giant house pet curling to sleep. Its breathing was deep and steady now. Its body was relaxed. Back in the observation deck, Hallen slowly opened his eyes. "It's resting." Theo nodded. "That's what trust looks like." Ellers sat quietly for several minutes before saying, "It needs a name. We can't keep calling it the creature. How about Cairn?" Theo offered. "Like a marker on a trail, a sign that someone was here and meant to return." Ellers smiled. "Cairn it is." For the first time since the crash, the ship felt calm. Fear had not defeated the danger. Patience had. Understanding had. And Hallen, who had once believed predators were nothing but killers, began to wonder what else he had been wrong about. Cairn was healing. Day by day, the swelling around his injuries lessened, and the painful tension in his body began to fade. Dr. Naomi Ellers and Theo Brink continued to care for him, changing his bandages, checking his leg, and speaking to him in calm tones that seemed to comfort him more than the medicine did. The crew of the Long Step, once terrified, now watched from a distance with growing curiosity. They still kept their space, but the panic had passed. Even Captain Rice, who had once suggested jettisoning the entire medbay to avoid a massacre, now stayed silent as he observed the once feared predator nuzzle a water container or blink sleepily. While lying on the padded floor. One morning, just after sunrise over the canopy of Dalmos 3's vast jungle, Cairn began making new sounds. These weren't like the earlier cries of pain or fear. They were softer, hopeful, and rhythmic. A pattern emerged, a kind of song that repeated every few minutes. Ellers noticed immediately. She sat by the medbay window, watching him with her usual gentle focus. "That's not random," she said. "He's calling to someone." Theo leaned in. "You think he remembers his family?" "I think he never forgot them," she replied. "And I think they've been looking for him too." Back on the upper deck, Dr. Hallen Merrow stared at the jungle scans in disbelief. "I'm picking up movement," he told Theo through the comms. "South of the ship, 3 large figures. Same size and shape as Cairn, only bigger." Theo's eyes lit up. "That's them. That's his family." The moment Ellers heard the news, she knelt beside Cairn and gave him a soft stroke between the eyes. "They found you," she said, smiling. "They've been searching for you this whole time." Cairn responded with a series of quick chirping calls. His entire body shifted with energy. The once limping creature rose carefully to his feet, testing his casted leg. He let out one more powerful cry, his 6 eyes bright and focused toward the jungle. Captain Rice stepped into the observation bay. "You can't be thinking about letting him go." "We have to," Ellers replied. "His place isn't here. His family's out there." Rice frowned. "What if the others aren't like him? What if they attack?" "They won't," she said. "Cairn will show them we helped." Lieutenant Barros, the head of security, arrived just as preparations began to open the lower cargo ramp. He wore full armor and carried a large energy rifle slung across his back. "This is a bad idea," he said flatly. "You're going to lead 3 massive predators right to our doorstep." "We're leading one of them home," Ellers corrected. "That's very different." Even Hallen wasn't sure what to believe anymore. Everything he'd thought about predators had already been turned upside down. Still, watching a giant creature limp out of a starship to find more of its kind stirred an ancient fear in him, one he couldn't silence. The ramp lowered slowly with a mechanical hum. Warm, humid air from the forest poured into the ship, carrying the scent of moss, wet leaves, and strange blossoms. Cairn stood at the edge, his nose twitching, his head lifted high. And they saw them. 3 massive figures appeared from the jungle shadows. Their scales shimmered with subtle patterns of green and blue. Each one stood taller than Cairn, more muscular, more intimidating. But they didn't roar or charge. They stopped at the edge of the clearing, lifting their heads as if sniffing. The wind. Cairn responded with a sharp cry, and the tallest of the newcomers echoed it. "That's them," Theo said. "That has to be his parents." Cairn stepped off the ramp and moved toward them. His limp was noticeable, but determined. When he reached the center of the clearing, he stopped. One of the adults, a huge female, with a long scar along her jaw, rushed forward. The others followed. They surrounded him, touching noses, sniffing at his bandages, making low, throaty noises that sounded like relief. Then the mother looked up at the ship, at the people watching from the entrance. Everyone held their breath. Ellers stepped forward, holding nothing but her medical bag. She walked slowly down the ramp, stopping about 10 meters from the adult predators. Her heart pounded in her chest, but her face stayed calm. She placed her bag on the ground and knelt down. "We helped him," she said, speaking clearly but softly. "He was hurt. We took care of him." The largest of the adult creatures, likely, the father, moved toward her. Its massive feet barely made a sound on the soft forest floor. When it reached her, it didn't growl or bare its teeth. It lowered its head and gently touched its snout to hers. A simple gesture, but it spoke volumes. Then the mother came forward, holding something in her mouth. It was a smooth, glowing stone, shaped like a teardrop and pulsing with a gentle blue light. She placed it at Eller's feet and gave a low, musical hum. Ellers felt a tightness in her throat. "They're thanking us," she whispered. Cairn turned one last time and looked at her. He gave a low, sweet sound before limping back toward the forest with his family. As the jungle closed behind them, Helen realized something deep in his heart. Sometimes fear comes not from danger, but from not understanding God, and sometimes what looks like a monster is just a child trying to go home.